All right, everybody. It is Dave's R&R with your host here, Dave. I told you we'd be churning them out this week. I missed a lot of time, a lot of stuff going on. I've just been busy. But we're here today, and week 0 is days away. College football is here. I know week 0 doesn't usually present the most exciting games in the world, but it feels good to have football back. The NFL preseason kind of warms us up just a little bit, but week 0, this is where we really hit the ground running. And this is probably, the biggest time of the year when the betting starts back up. You'll see a lot of sports books spring up a lot more here because people are wanting to throw their money on football games because that's where all the action's at. And this week, before the week 0 games start, before we look at those lines going into the weekend, I've got 3 win totals here because who doesn't like to look at the win totals going into the year? I know some bettors don't really like looking at them and betting them because it's such a long drawn out time for a payout. But in my eyes, they're fun to bet on. I mean, it's you pick a team and you either ride with them or you fade them all season long. What's not to love about that? So this week we're going to be looking at 3 team total wins records. We're going to be looking at Maryland. We're going to be looking at East Carolina, and we're going to be looking at Cincinnati. So we'll save East Carolina for last because that's where I went to college. That's where my heart's at. We'll start with a college that's close to where I grew up, and that's going to be the Maryland Terrapins. Their win total this year sits at 6 games. And it's going to be a reoccurring theme throughout this podcast. I love taking overs. So I'm going to take Maryland over 6 wins this year. The big reason they've got Tua's little bro over there. And in the Big Ten, he's one of the better quarterbacks. Maybe not the best quarterback, but he's in the upper echelon. And in college football, if you have a good quarterback, if you have one that's one of the better ones in the conference, you're going to be able to hang in every game this season. So looking at their schedule, we need 6 wins to push. And that's what I like about this number too. Sometimes if you get these nice square numbers, you can at least go for the push. So if we're looking for 6 wins, I think Maryland has a great chance to start out 3-0. They should beat Buffalo week 1. I mean, nothing's guaranteed, but that's as close to a blowout as you're going to get. Maryland's going to come out on fire offensively. Take a look at their team total and points for that, but for this purpose, we're looking strictly on games. Buffalo, they should win. Charlotte can present them a real challenge. I think Charlotte is upset bound. They can upset a lot of teams this year, but I think that one should count as a win, and they should beat SMU as well. I'm going to say should because nothing's ever guaranteed, like I said, against Buffalo. But these are games they should win, so they should be 3-0 to start. They're probably going to drop the game against Michigan, let's be honest here. And then their next 4 games, they've got Michigan State, they've got Purdue, they've got Indiana, and they've got Northwestern. We need 2 to 3 wins there. 3 gets us to a push on the 6, and 2 we're going to be 1 under. And we really need to be at least 5 wins by this point. Because after Northwestern, they've got Wisconsin, Penn State, and Ohio State back to back to back. And those are going to be more than likely losses for them. So that's 3 back to back losses. We need to at least be at 5 or 6 wins going into that, which I think is very realistic. And their final game of the season, their senior day, is against Rutgers. And that, I think, is a big W. So if they're at 5 wins going into that, I think we're going to push at 6. If they can get 6, that's going to be our 7th win and hit us with the over. So I'm essentially betting on Maryland to take 3 of those games against Michigan State, Purdue, Indiana, Northwestern, which is very realistic. I think Purdue and Northwestern are locks. Michigan State's going to regress this year, and that game's in Maryland, so that should be a big one for the fans. I think Indiana's going to regress a lot this year, too. Last year showed that. That was one of the biggest unders that I was on last year, team total-wise. So I think they're going to stay lower again this year, and that should be winnable for Maryland. So Maryland, we're going with the over 6 wins this year. The next team we're going to look at is the Cincinnati Bearcats. They went to the playoffs last year, and Alabama handled the business there, but it was just nice to see a non-Power 5 team make the playoffs. Cincinnati proved last year that it can happen, And they aren't returning as many starters this year as you can imagine for a team like that. Making the playoffs, they're going to have a lot of eyes on them. Their over and under is at 9 this year. And this might be my lock of the year, them over 9 wins. Because again, we get that 9 and we push, they're not going to regress that much. Just because they, lost a bunch of starters, they're still in a very, very weak conference. And I see 9 wins on the schedule. They start the year at Arkansas, which, they're the underdogs in that, but they can realistically win that game. But say we count that as a loss, I see win after win after win after that. They've got Kennesaw State, they've got Miami, Ohio, they've got Indiana, which, again, I think Indiana's going to regress. So that's 3 wins, and they should run through their conference with ease, maybe lose, say, 2 games there, and you get your 9. So I love Cincinnati Bearcats over 9 this year. I don't think they're going to regress as much as people think. I think they're still very realistically a 10 to 11 win team this year. So that one I think will cash for us before the last week. I know Maryland, we might be hanging on there for that final game. This one I see us cashing by the end easily. And last but certainly not least, my East Carolina Pirates. It's been a roller coaster being an East Carolina football fan, that's for sure. Back when I went to college there, we had the Justin Hardy era where, we were finally ranked at the end of the season. And everything looked up for us, but it's just been down, down, down since. We haven't been able to find that magic again this year. This year, our win total is set at 6.5. I'm going with the over because I love ECU. So we have to find 7 wins on the schedule. And this is one of the ones we have to win early. NC State's a big question mark. We're 10.5-point underdogs there. It's at Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium, so the place is going to be alive. But let's count that one as a loss for the sake of this exercise. We've got winnable games after that. We've got Old Dominion. We should win that. Campbell should be an easy win. Navy we beat last year, and I think we're going to be even better this year, and it's in Greenville, so that gets us to 3. We've got South Florida and Tulane, both pretty bad teams. That should get us to 5. Then this is where it gets tricky. I think we should beat Memphis. That should get us to 6. Memphis, that one's going to be a toss-up. Last year it was a toss-up game, but I'm hoping that'll get us to 6. It's homecoming week. It's at Dowdy-Ficklen, so let's get to 6. But after that, we have to wait till the Temple game at the end of the year. Because I don't think we beat Central Florida. Central Florida's had our number for years now. And then after that, we just go through the gauntlet. We play at BYU. You look at their win total this year. I think BYU is very underrated coming in the season at number 25. I could see them being possibly in that 10-15 range of the rankings by the end of the year. So I'm counting that as a loss. Then we go to Cincinnati, which I think Cincinnati runs the division again this year, so I think that's a loss. And Houston's right up there too. I can see that being a loss. If we win one of those 4 games, we're in this. We get our win total right there. That puts us at 7 in my eyes. If not, we still have the final game of the season at Temple, which I think that's a win for us. I think Temple has gone down even worse than we have. I remember they beat us the year that we were on our ranked projection. We were going up, we got ranked, then Temple beat us. Since then, even though we've gone down, Temple's gone down even further. So I think we beat Temple to end the season. Hopefully it doesn't come down to that last game where we have to sweat it out, but realistically, that's why I think they have it at 6.5, because we have the 6 wins before we run that gauntlet of Central Florida, BYU, Cincinnati, Houston. It will really come down to that Temple game at the end of the season. So to recap, all overs on this podcast: Maryland over 6 wins, Cincinnati over 9 wins, ECU over 6.5 wins. And let's just have a good football season. Let's hope these cash. But along the way, we're going to be placing more bets to hopefully make up for it if they don't hit. But these are 3 win totals I'm very confident in. And as always, thank you for listening to the podcast. I hope y'all are ready for football season. I know I am. We're going to keep trying to churn out as much content as possible at Dave's R&R on Twitter and Instagram. If you want some even more picks besides that, Check out my other podcast at Fade or Follow. I do with two of my good friends. That's more gambling centric. We're going to have some gambling on this show during football season, but that one's very heavy on it. So definitely keep following, keep supporting. Thank you for all the likes, all the downloads, and everything. Just super appreciate it. Good luck gambling in week 0. Have a great week, have a great weekend, and happy football season, everybody.